Good morning, everyone. Today we celebrate Martin Luther King Day, the federal holiday honoring the civil rights leader. Martin Luther King Day is a day of service for many Americans who come together to serve their neighborhoods and communities. Dr. King delivered his most famous speech, commonly called the I Have a Dream speech, on August 28, 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. He led the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s, helping end racial segregation. He was also an advocate for nonviolence, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. Dr. King was assassinated on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4, 1968. James Earl Ray was sentenced to 99 years for King's death. Ray died in 1998. Dr. King would have been 85 on January 15th, which is his actual birthday, but today we celebrate the day, and Vicki, it's a nice day to commemorate. I know across the country they're just calling for nonviolence, especially in areas like Chicago that have been heavily populated with violence, and I think that's a great way to commemorate Dr. King and his legacy.
I agree, Ashley, and I think that that's something that he always advocated was, being peaceful, the marches. And I have to admit, I came in on the very tail end of what was really happening with the civil rights motion. And so I really rely on history books and people sharing those memories of what was happening at those times.
Right, and I know that many remember him for his I Have a Dream speech, but they don't realize that he led this movement for well over 10 years. Wow. During his life, and he was arrested over 20 times, jailed over 20 times, and not just him, but other individuals, and he was physically abused 4 times, it's been reported. And so he's led a lot of marches. One of the most famous was the March in Selma, where they went to just march for equality, and I think it'll be very interesting for people to see how he would handle civil rights today.
That would be interesting. I agree with you there. Now, I do know that you were talking about all the speeches he had done, and I noticed on NBC.com they've got the great speeches that you might have never heard of by Dr. King. So it might be interesting for folks to take a read.
Yeah, that'll be a great thing to go listen to today.
All right, now I know you're going to be joining us throughout the morning with a little bit more on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and this special day set aside for him, so I'm excited to see what else you've pulled up for us.
Absolutely.
All right.